Welcome, Hordlings, to a reading of the Might and Magic Clouds of Xeen manual. I did this for Might and Magic 3, and I decided that even though I wanted to dive right into Xeen and start playing it right away, that we should get the manual updated and uploaded. So let us scroll through the Might and Magic Clouds of Xeen. We're not going to go over everything, obviously. I'm going to go just over the storyline and then some of the more important things in the game that we want to keep mindful. The sixth Mir. You and a small circle of friends have gathered at a local tavern in Vertigo to discuss the events of the last several months. Your conversation bobs and weaves among subjects in between draughts of ale. And the central topic is the vivid, reoccurring dreams you all shared, starting 8 months ago. The first dream arrived as a nightmare, frightening in its clarity and intensity. You all dreamt that you were listening to King Burlock's advisor Crodo speak to you. It was as though he was talking from a great distance, and the message seemed to have been addressed to someone else. This message is not a dream. I am sorry to trouble your sleep in this manner, but I have no other way to communicate to you. A few months ago, a man claiming to be King Burlock's lost brother, Roland, arrived in court and announced himself to the king. Roland had left on a mission into Mount Firestone many years ago, looking for the passage to a fabled land below the land. That Roland should return home after all these years was very good news for the king, but I had my reservations. Where had he been all this time, and why hadn't he come home sooner? Suspicious of him from the first, I watched him tell tales of ancient treasures and works of power. The artifact that Roland talked most about was the sixth mirror. The sixth mirror was the only magic mirror that was made to be portable, and because of this it had no name. The owner of the mirror was able to step through it like any other of the 5 mirrors, but he could take this one with him. That Roland was obsessed with the mirror became increasingly clear with time, but the king did not seem to notice. Rather, King Burlock began to finance expeditions to find the lost mirror. Many brave and powerful adventurers answered the call, but none succeeded. In spite of repeated failures, Roland urged the king to continue the search. As the search grew more feverish, King Burlock began to neglect his management of the realm. The king's health deteriorated, the servants grew lax in their duties, and the treasury ran dangerously low. I felt that I had to do something and do it soon. I resolved to sleep on it and speak to the king in the morning. That very night I awoke to the chill kiss of dark magic being worked nearby. Rising to my feet, I gathered my robe about me and quietly walked into the hallway. From there, I was able to hear muffled sounds coming in from Roland's room. Cautiously, I crept up to Roland's room and looked through the keyhole. To my horror, I saw Roland sitting cross-legged, holding a black tome in one hand. From a charcoal diagram on the floor arose the image of a foul spirit in the shape of a knight, with horns cresting his helm. Roland was conversing with it in a harsh tongue that I did not recognize. I must have made some sound then, for Roland abruptly turned and stared hard at the door. I backed away from the keyhole immediately, and it was well that I did, for the door suddenly blew off its hinges and slammed against the opposite wall. Fearing for my life, I ran. I ran as fast as my old bones would take me, ran as though the forces of hell were at my heels. They were. As I rounded the first corner of the hallway, screaming for help, the chill blast of Roland's winter magic narrowly missed me. We ran through the twisting halls of Burlock's castle, through rooms dusty with disuse, and through armories filled with rusting war tools. I took a turn and found myself cornered at the end of the hallway with no means of escape. In despair, I turned to face Roland and raised my magical defenses, knowing that he was stronger than I. Roland came charging around the corner and slowed down when he saw that I was cornered, raising his hands above his head in preparation of a sorcerer's strike. Roland smiled and said, "What's the matter, Crodo? Are you afraid of what you saw?" Roland continued to approach me slowly. "Feeble old man, your fear of magic you don't understand is a discredit to our profession." "I understand your evil magic well, Roland," I said hopelessly, slumping my shoulders and bowing my head. "I can't hope to win against such strength." With that I sighed, gathering my energies for one good blast. I looked up at Roland, who was still smiling, advancing, sighed again, and threw my spell. The force of the dancing blades spell flying from me pushed me back against the wall. Caught off guard, Roland failed to deflect the spell. The blades flew out of my hands, stripping the flesh from his body. Hope rose within me, and I saw what I had done to him. Then despair when he still stood after the attack. Scraps of flesh clung to his green skull, and his one remaining eye glared at me. I knew then that Roland was undead and I could not defeat him. "Who are you?" I gasped, staring at the figure before me. "Lord Xeen," the monster said. "Call me Lord Xeen, King of the World, for that is what I shall be in a very short time." "King Burlock," I began. "Well, do as he's told," Xeen finished for me, "especially if he doesn't have you around to give him bad advice." There was nothing more to be said. Xeen made a peculiar gesture with his right hand and then clenched his fist. I felt a pressure on my defenses and on my head which quickly grew intolerable. The blackness took me and I knew no more. When I awoke, I found myself in a tower on an island surrounded by water. From my window, I am able to see King Burlock's castle across the water. Every day, I see the search parties leaving the castle to look for a mirror and wonder if the king knows what Roland is or where I am. There is only one place in the world with a view like I have, and that is Baron Darzog's tower. Because of the materials used to construct the room I am unable to use my magic to escape. The only thing I can do is try to send these dreams to you in hopes that you will hear and respond. I don't know what Lord Xeen wants the mirror for, but it can't be good. I fear the ruin of the realm if he succeeds. You are the only people in the world with the power and resources to make a weapon capable of slaying Lord Xeen in your laboratories in Newcastle. You must make haste. If Lord Xeen discovers what you are doing, he will destroy you. And with that, the dream ends. This dream has been repeated several times for about 2 months, then never again. The day after you had your last dream, Newcastle was destroyed by a bolt from the sky, and all its inhabitants were killed. Each one of you realized you may be the only person left alive who received the message. If you didn't do anything, nobody would. So you quit your jobs and traveled to Vertigo. Here you were able to find training and spells and weapons, and here you met one another. You talk late into the night, excitement and nervousness in your voices. As the conversation winds down and you're all getting ready to retire for the night, you agree that tomorrow is the day you will start your adventures. The adventures in the Clouds of Xeen. Alright, so that's the good stuff. And we have a beginner's guide to computer role-playing. Congratulations on your purchase of Clouds of Xeen. Refer to the reference card for instructions on installing the game. When you begin, you'll be presented with the choice of playing in warrior mode or adventuring mode. The game will be less combat intensive in adventuring mode. We did choose warrior mode for those that are wondering. Once you make this decision, you'll be unable to change it again until you start a completely new game. If you're new to the world of computer role-playing games, aka CRPGs, you'll want to read the rest of this section before you get started. If you just can't fucking wait, you can jump right into the game and use the ref card to help you along. In Might and Magic Clouds of Xeen, you, the player, will be represented by 6 characters in a party. You'll begin the game with a set of default characters just outside the tavern. The tavern is the place where you go when you want to rearrange your party, create new characters, get rumors and advice, and play with big titties from the tavern wenches. If you want to make your own characters, turn around and step into the tavern. Inside you'll find a desk where you can check into the tavern. Each character will have a name, profession, statistics assigned to it to represent its capabilities, such as strength and intelligence. Perhaps the most important statistic for all characters is hit points. They represent how much personal damage a character can withstand before falling unconscious. If your hit points fall below 0, you will go unconscious. If you're hit unconscious, you will fucking die. A character can start from anywhere from 1 to 20 hit points. Since the average sword blow will do about 6 hit points, a weak character could fall with only 1 or 2 blows. The next important statistic is your character's level. As you play the game, your character will gain experience points through defeating monsters and completing questicles. When you have enough experience, you will become eligible to advance to the next level. When your level increases, your hit points and fighting ability will improve. In between adventures in the wilderness, you also have time when you are free to explore the civilized areas of Xeen. There are many different places to visit, but the places you will frequent most will be the towns. In the towns, you'll be able to find shops and services where you can buy better equipment, learn spells, and get healed. For the beginning player, computer role-playing games can seem confusing at first. We've done our best to make sure Clouds of Xeen is easy to learn and play. Once you get the hang of it, we'll sure you'll have a lot of fun. No! Got some werewolf dude overlooking the town of Vertigo. So yeah, character creation, you have your might, prime statistics for knights and paladins. Affects damage your character does when you hit a monster. Also used to break down doors and lift or destroy certain objects. Intellect, prime statistic for archers, sorcerers, druids, and rangers. This statistic helps determine how many spell points your character will get if he is one of these classes. Personality is a prime stat for clerics, druids, rangers, and pallies. The statistics help determine how many spell points your character will get if he's one of these classes. Endurance. is a prime statistic for paladins, barbarians, and rangers. It helps determine how many hit points the character has. Speed is the prime statistic for ninjas and rangers. Everyone, including monsters, has a speed rating. If your character's speed is higher than the monsters, they'll go first. Accuracy is a prime statistic for archers and ninjas. Determines whether or not you hit a monster with a weapon or spell when attacking. And luck is a prime statistic for robbers. Luck improves your chances of surviving a hostile spell or avoiding a trap. Character classes and races. The knight is the best fighter in the game. Able to use any kind of weapon or armor, the knight will dish out more damage than any other character. The knight starts with the arms master skill and gets more hit points than all classes but the barbarian. That's right! The knight cannot cast any spells. Trog is our dwarven knight. The paladin is a good fighter, but not as good as the knight. The paladin can use any weapon or armor, but his hit points tend to be lower than the knight's. The paladin starts with the crusader skill and the ability to cast clerical spells. We have no paladin. Archer. The archer is as good of a fighter as the paladin. The archer starts with the ability to cast sorcerer spells, but unable to wear armor heavier than chain or shield. The archer uses no secondary skills. We have no archers. Clot the cleric. She's a fair fighter, but not allowed to use edge weapons or missile weapons. On the bright side, the cleric can use split mail armor or lighter, and has twice as many skill points available for casting clerical spells as the paladin. No secondary skills. The sorcerer. Ronstock is our sorcerer. He's a poor fighter, only able to wear robes and use staves and daggers. Sorcerer spells are the most destructive in the game, and they have twice as many spell points as the archer. They start with a cartography skill. We have no robbers, but the robbers are a fair fighter, unable to use any armor heavier than chain. They can use any one-handed weapon and shield, but cannot cast spells. The robber begins the game with thievery. The ninja, Lo Wang, is a good fighter, but is limited to ring mail or lighter armor and cannot use a shield. Ninjas can use most, but not all weapons. Two-handed weapons are limited to staff and naginata. The ninja starts with thievery skill and is unable to cast spells. The barbarian, that's me, is almost as good a fighter as the knight, but unable to wear armor heavier than scale mail. Barbarians can use most shields and all weapons. The barbarian cannot cast spells and starts with no secondary skills. The druid, which we have none of, is a poor fighter. They're only able to use light armor and weapons, but they can cast both cleric and sorcerer spells to a limited degree. Druids start the game with direction sense, skill, and twice as many spell points as rangers. And Viper, our ranger, is a good fighter. Rangers are able to use most weapons and armor and can both cast cleric and sorcerer spells to a limited degree. Rangers start the game with pathfinding. That will save us 2,500 gold. Races. Humans. Pretty obvious. All humans start with swimming. Humans have a small resistance to spells. Elves are tall, slender people that are unusually well adapted to using magic. Elves are slightly resistant to some spells and make very good thieves and sorcerers. They aren't as tough as other races, however, and tend to have less hit points. Dwarves are short and stocky and tough. Dwarves are slightly resistant to most spells, but they are especially resistant to poison. They make fair robbers and good knights. Dwarves begin the game with spot secret door skill. Gnomes. They are smaller than dwarves and not near as tough. They make good spellcasters, but they tend to have less hit points than all other races except elves. Gnomes begin the game with direction sense. Half-orcs are a cross between human and half, and an orc. Half-orcs are the toughest of the races players can choose, but they are also the stupidest. Half-orcs make excellent knights and barbarians, but they are the worst spellcasters and robbers. Once you've created your characters you put in your party, you are just starting the game. You've created a custom set of characters, you'll need to remove those old bastards. You can only have 6 characters in your party. You can have some, none, or all the default characters in the party. It's up to you. To add a character to your party, click on the face of the character and press the number 1 to 4 key. Alright, finally, if you make a mistake and create a character you don't want, delete that bastard. Once you're satisfied with your party, hit the escape key and begin your adventures. And here's more adventuring. This obviously goes over the display window, which we're all very familiar with, especially those that have been following the Might and Magic 3. Here's what all the icons do. Shoot when we have miss weapons, cast spells, rest, bash, dismiss, view questicles, auto map, information, and quick reference. You can also press the spacebar or click on a display window to interact with an object. Character portraits, direction icons, options. We got it. We get it. Age. Here's the character screen. Age. Yeah, we all start at level 18, or age 18. It's possible for a character to be older than his natural age through magical attacks. As your character grows older, some stats will decline. Level shows your current level, maximum level, and the number of attacks per round. Armor class shows your current and maximum armor class. The higher the number, the harder it is to hit you. HP, so hit points, spell points, resistances. 100 does not mean immunity from an attack, but it will reduce the damage your character takes from that attack considerably. Good to note. Skills, awards, experience, party gold, gems, food, and conditions. Adverse conditions your characters might have, and any active protection spells. Items, quick reference, exchange, and exit. If you select the View Quest window from the adventuring screen, you'll be presented with 3 choices: Quest, Notes, and Items. Selecting Quest will display all quests the party is currently involved in. Selecting Notes will display all the significant messages the party's encountered. Selecting Items will display all the items the party has that are necessary to complete the game. You have, of course, the inventory screen, which we are very familiar with from all the shopping that I've done in 3. Secondary skills. These are good to go over. Thievery lets you pick locks on chests and doors. It's the only skill that has a rating. The higher the skill, the better your chance of success. Swimmer. All characters in the party must have this skill to be able to swim. And this guy is flying a fucking Triceratops with wings or something. That's awesome. Pathfinder. This skill allows you to move through a dense forest. Gotta have 2 characters for Pathfinder and Mountaineer to move through mountains. Cartographer. That gives us auto mapping. Direction Sense makes the large gem in the center of the screen display you're facing. It also prints the arrow and points in the direction the party is facing on the auto map. Spot Seeker Doors causes the gargoyle on the adventuring screen to wave its arm when a party approaches a thin wall. Danger Sense. This will cause the bat at the top of the adventuring screen to animate when monsters can see your party. And we have Combat, Quick Fight, which is what I always use. Attack, Run, Use, Block, Quick Fight option, which I never use. Information, Quick Reference. Whenever you hit a monster, a red splat will appear briefly on the screen. The bigger the splat, the more damage you did to the monster. If you used a spell or an item that does a different kind of damage, the splat may appear as a fire burst or electrical charge or something else. If there's more than one monster, you can choose which monster you want your character to fight by pressing 1, 2, or 3. This will highlight the name of the monster, letting you know which monster is targeted. We rarely did that. I selected them a few times in the last game. That's for mainly when you want to either attack a stronger or a weaker character or use a specific spell on a specific monster. Then we have spells. This doesn't actually contain all the spells because in the game they wanted you to figure it out and find out what most of them did. And so this just goes over the basic spells. So we'll just skip this because we know all the basic spells. Important places. Taverns, temples, banks. We got our bank back. Our Xeen Bank, or the Bank of Xeen, where we will eventually start to store money. Blacksmith, training grounds, and guilds. And for online support hints, clues on Might and Magic Clouds of Xeen, call CompuServe toll-free at 1-800-524-3388. Let's call it.
You have dialed a number that is not available from your calling area.
Well, fuck you, I wanted a clue! Alright folks, that wraps it up for the manual reading of Clouds of Xeen. Stay tuned, we will be reading the Dark Side of Xeen manual once we dive into that. But for now, we'll see you soon with more World of Xeen.